Thank you very much. So this talk is entitled Ancestral Processes for Tomorrow's Food, and I will speak a few minutes about fermentation. And the first thing I want to remember you, okay, is the fact that fermentation is an old process, and it's a natural process that can occur spontaneously in nature. In fact, humans already started to use fermentation few millenniaries ago, and during antiquity, beer, bread, and cheese were already produced. But in fact, the practices were related to empirism, and we have waited for Louis Pasteur's work to discover that microbes are at the origin of the fermentation process. And Louis Pasteur has also shown us that fermentation is related to good microbes, but that there also exist some bad microbes. And this is very important because after Louis Pasteur, we have developed some scientific methods to control the fermentation process of foods. Next slide. And now I would like to just to show you that fermentation is something really complex that occur. Sorry, that occur. Sorry, that occur at the microscopic scale. And in fact, microbes are present in many raw materials, and there is a great diversity of microbes. I have taken here the example of a French cheese, and this French comes from my region, from Burgundy, and this is the Époisse cheese. And this graph represents the dynamic of the population of bacteria and molds during the ripening and the storage of this cheese. And as you can see, it's something that is related to an ecological process. A huge biodiversity of microbes develop on the surface of the cheese, but also in the core of the cheese. And these microbes are at the origin of the taste, of the texture, but also of the color of this cheese. This is to show you that milk is not the only natural product that can be fermented. And all kind of raw materials, of organic materials can be fermented. And this shows you that food products can be made from, of course, from milk, but also from fruits, from legumes, from cereals, from grains, from meat, from fish. So fermentation can be applied to any form of organic product. So to sum up, I would like to say that microbes, good microbes, we call them ferment, are involved in the development of the sensory quality of foods: taste, smell, texture, color. But they also improve the nutritional and health quality of foods, because each microbes contain a huge quantity of enzymes, of genes, of course, and each of these enzymes and molecules explain the incredible diversity of molecules within microbial cells. We sometimes call microbial cells microbial factories. And they improve the digestibility of some product. They also improve the bioavailability of some molecule present in foods. They improve the content in micronutrients, and they also these microbes produce molecules or molecular assemblies that could play a role in on the immunitary system. Of course, the process of fermentation is a natural way to extend the conservation, the preservation of foods. And of course, microbes, by their work in the raw materials, increase the economic value of these materials. So there is a lot of interest in using living organisms and the fermentation process. Maybe two slides just to conclude my talk. No problem. So what I want to tell you is that fermentation is applicable to all organics, and there is the potential for innovation is very important because microbes are present in any environment, and we are just discovering the huge biodiversity of microbes. These microbes are not only bacteria, they are also called, some are fungi and other are yeast. So if we look at the genetic diversity of all these good microbes, we are facing millions of genes, and millions of genes represent millions of molecules that could contribute to the quality of foods. Next slide. So the next step is the next slide is just to tell you that we are now developing a new science because we are discovering the biodiversity of microbes and the great diversity of their functions. So for that, we are exploring the microbial diversity. What is also important is the cross-culture, because the practice of fermentation is already present in many, many countries in the world. And of course, what is very exciting is that food ferments are also called probiotics. This means that some activities of probiotic microbes can be found in fermented foods. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to thank Mr. Laurent BENEY, which is the scientific committee of Vitagora. So who is Vitagora? We are an agri-food cluster focused on innovation. We develop growth, industrial performance, and innovation and the services to propel the agri-food industry to the top. We are a team of 29 specialists, and we have 17 years of expertise in the food sector. We are accompanying 650 members, large companies, SMEs, and other startups. And we are present in Japan, Dijon, and in Kigali, in Rwanda, and we have partnerships all over the world. Thank you. I will let Mr. Kimura to present the NARO part. NARO is Japan Institute for Research.
Bonjour. Je vais expliquer les aliments fermentés du Japon. Today I talk about fermented food of Japan. And the main topic is koji mold. It's a fungi. Oh, it's a fungi. And that is a key microbes for Japanese fermented foods. And in the last session, I talk about cross-culture, as Laurent said. Okay, next, please. As you know, fermented foods are produced in the world, and in Japan also. In 2013, the Japanese food we called washoku was registered as an intangible heritage of UNESCO. That includes the fermented food. And next, please. Koji mold, today the topic, a key player in fermentation. Yeah, I read this slide. Koji is a solid culture of koji mold, aspergillus, on steamed grains, such as rice, barley, soybeans, whose variation is the key for variation of foods. Enzymes from koji are mainly involved in the fermentation of sake, miso, and soy sauce. Please remember, in Europe, you use malt, the seedling of barley, as a source of enzymes. But we use koji mold as a source of enzyme, which is important for the fermentation. Okay, sorry, back. The picture shows the koji mold growing on the steamed rice. So before the Louis-Pasteur find and identify the microbes, people in Japan treat the koji mold. Of course, they don't know what it is, but treated the spore of fungi. Next, please. This slide shows a wide variety of koji. Koji could be produced from steamed rice, wheat, and also soybean. So color, different color come from the different strain or different source material. And this is very example, not all, black one and yellow one and white one. And we have also crimson red koji mold. This crimson red koji mold is a special strain for tofuyo in Okinawa Island of Japan. These pictures were provided by the koji mold companies, Higuchi Matsunosuke Shoten and Akita Konno Shoten. Next, please. Yeah. Miso, I don't know, you know miso, but it's a good case study of koji application. This slide shows the very simplified scheme of production process. Rice or barley or soybean was steamed and koji mold, the aspergillus, was inoculated. Then the fungi grow on the steamed rice, and parallelly, a large amount of rice, soybean, wheat steamed and mixing. Then maturation, sometimes 1 month, sometimes for 3 years. And during this fermentation, yeast and lactic acid was sometimes inoculated to improve the quality and flavor. Okay, this slide shows the miso. Next, please. We have variation in miso. This variation comes from the composition of raw materials, rice, soybean, and wheat, and the strain. And usually salt was added about 10% to control the fermentation or improve the reproducibility. But recently we created very low salt miso. Yeah, I don't explain the detail, but we have also low salt miso. Next, please. Yeah, this picture shows the locally produced misos. Yeah, as you have a wine of local wine, many type of wines, Bordeaux or Bourgogne. So we have wide variety of miso. For example, white one of Kyoto,
qui était une cause qui nous touchait beaucoup parce qu'elle est très proche de notre mission, qui est d'inspirer la transition vers une alimentation végétale pour le bien-être de l'homme et la préservation de la planète. Et cette grande cause, elle a réuni des centaines de milliers de Français.
Interesting example is Hacho miso of Nagoya.
Chez Monduel, nous sommes très fiers d'avoir été associés dès 2019 à la grande cause du bien manger. C'est une cause qui nous touchait beaucoup parce qu'elle est très proche de notre mission qui est d'inspirer la transition vers une alimentation végétale pour le bien-être de l'homme et la préservation de la planète. Et cette grande cause, elle a réuni des centaines de milliers de Français qui ont participé à la consultation. Et on est fiers d'avoir associé aussi nos employés de la France, employés en France, qui, pour certains d'entre eux, ont pu répondre à ce questionnaire, et duquel sont apparus de grands sujets qui nous touchent beaucoup chez Monduel, comme la lutte contre le gaspillage alimentaire, comme la promotion des circuits courts et du local, mais aussi l'évolution des emballages et la lutte contre les emballages plastiques. Donc beaucoup de causes qui ont été mises en avant et qui sont des projets de long terme. Et puis nous, chez Monduel, il y a un projet qui nous a beaucoup touché, dans lequel on s'est beaucoup inspiré, qui est ressorti de cette grande cause, qui a été le lancement des Journées nationales d'agriculture, les JNA, auxquelles nous avons participé à 2 reprises, en 2021 et en 2022. On a vraiment été fiers que des centaines de personnes, collaborateurs, grand public, des écoles également, viennent dans les exploitations partenaires qui ont accueilli le grand public pour montrer toute la valeur de leur travail agricole, bien sûr, et puis aussi tout ce que l'on pourrait faire en transformation et en inspiration culinaire autour de ces très beaux produits et de cette valorisation de ce patrimoine agricole qui est exceptionnel en France. Donc voilà un des souvenirs pour nous. Cette grande cause aujourd'hui est clôturée, mais elle a mis en avant de très beaux projets qui vont perdurer. Les JNA sont un exemple, et d'autres vont perdurer également. Moi, je voudrais juste remercier tous ceux de Make.org et tous les partenaires qui ont qui ont participé à ce grand projet, qui reste une inspiration pour le long terme. Merci à vous tous et à très bientôt.
Which was established in 15th century. As you know, fermentation give a high quality and rich nutrient, including micronutrient. And production process, low energy consuming. And this is important. Less byproduct and waste. Usually whole grain are used. And of course, plant-based. And fermentation can give long shelf life for food. Thank you. Maybe, not. So this is cross-culturing. Recent,
chez Monduel, nous sommes très fiers d'avoir été associés dès 2019.
Yeah. Only last year, we produced cheese, of course, made from milk by Koji.
Bonjour, je suis Michel Schwind, président et fondateur du groupe Orphitech.
This is a list of the publication.
INRAe a été créé en 1998.
We compared
aujourd'hui, le groupe
cheese
représente
produced
155
with
personnes. Et notre
fungi used for camembert or blue cheese. We found a metabolic difference of the product, especially the degradation product of lipids is quite different. That comes from the property of Koji mold, that has weaker activity of lipase, but high activity of proteins.
Et nous voulions donner un sens plus fort à notre action.
So, the raw materials milk the same, but product become miso-like flavor. Yeah, that's true.
Nous en avons retenu deux qui nous intéressent plus particulièrement.
Next, please.
Qui sont
l'alimentation
au travers des circuits courts, donc la promotion des circuits courts dans l'alimentation, et également le retrait des plastiques pour la conservation des produits frais.
Keitarou-san, Laurent-san, thank you for your presentation. It was really clear and interesting. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Florent CHAZARENC. I'm working at INRAE. I'm the international project manager for China, South Korea and Japan, of course. The reason of my presence today. Our institute is the national research for agronomy, agriculture and environment. We are leader in many topics in the world, and if you want more information about what we do, you can just go to our website. As you understand, we have already a lot of links with Japan and a lot of ongoing projects, and I'm convinced that we will jump on this new food and fermented food topics shortly in the near future, because you can see we have a lot of common interest and a lot of common culture in this field. As you can see in this slide, we already have a couple of pioneering activities between French and international partners, including European projects. And the idea is to go beyond and to strengthen the link with our Japanese partner in that field. So now I will ask the audience if we have any questions for our speakers, as we are to the level where we interact with the audience. So please, if you have a question, raise your hand.
Question?
Okay. We have one question.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is about the French consumers. I understand that France already has a lot of fermented products, and so the consumers are used to the concept of fermentation. Would you think that miso, for example, the Japanese traditional fermented food, be welcomed in the French market, or is there any roadblock?
Thank you very much. I'm not a specialist of the market, but I'm sure that miso will be accepted in France, of course, because we are really open to different food cultures, and especially for food coming from Asia. And I'm sure that such a product can find a market here in France, of course.
That's a good news. Thank you.
Do we have other questions? So I may have one for you. you are on the top of the research on these topics about fermented food, and some aspect of your research are still in the laboratory. Which one do you see coming in the market soon? The research aspect are coming to the market tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a very important question. Please visit the Japan Pavilion, Hall 8. We have a lot of exhibition. That is ready to go to market, okay? Including fermented foods, or sake, or many.
For my lab, I can tell you that we are working on the fermentation of plant proteins. And here is Estelle. She did her PhD thesis on this topic a few months ago, and I'm sure she will be happy to explain you that we are working to develop the nutritional and organoleptic sensory qualities of plant proteins by fermentation.
Last one? Okay.
Hi. What health benefits do you think there are if we consume more fermented foods? My understanding is that it's pretty new, a new area.
In fact, we have studied probiotics for several years, and we have discovered that probiotics can also have a positive effect, even if they are dead. And this means that maybe some molecular entities that are produced by the bacteria, called probiotics, act as molecules that can stimulate the immunitary system in the gastrointestinal tract. So my personal hypothesis is that maybe in fermented foods we will find molecules that are produced by lactic bacteria, for example, or by fungi or by molds, and that these molecules are very important because they can support an information that is necessary for the gastrointestinal tract each day. So I think that maybe fermented foods will join the probiotic world. And this concept is now known as the concept of postbiotics. I'm sure you know this word because a publication in Nature was made 1 year ago. And this is very amazing because we maybe will be able to find in fermented foods the molecules that explain the old probiotic concept.
Thank you very much. I think it's time for us to tell you goodbye and have a nice SIAL 2022. And it was a pleasure to talk with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.